Hello everyone, welcome into Deacon's Info Talk. I'm your host Deacon, and welcome back to another episode on the channel, episode 28 on the channel. I can't believe we've gotten this far since the termination of my old one. But today we have a bunch of NFL topics, as always, during the off season. The season's almost here, guys. It's so close. But we have probably 6 topics this week. So we have 6 topics this week. Lots of signings and cuts, like always. Like I feel like the off season, especially this part of the off season, where teams are trying to, cut and sign into their 53-man roster. You're gonna have a lot of signings and cuts. Every week of the month, there's been at least 2 pages of signings and cuts. So we have a lot again. Cuts almost has 3 pages, and signings has like 1.5. So big difference there. Then we have a few injuries. We actually have 4 injury updates to get to. Then quick hits. And then right after that, we're going to go best versus worst. And we also have some reactions to get to this week. And then we have one question of the week. I cannot wait. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. Alright, everybody, as always, we're going to start off with the first topic of every episode, and the first one is actually big news, alright? Big news for Vikings fans. You guys probably know what I'm talking about here, but the Vikings, they signed veteran corner Stefon Gilmore to a 1-year deal. Obviously, in case you guys didn't know, the Vikings have been through so much this offseason, like so much, I can't imagine what they're going through right now. But, I mean, losing J.J. McCarthy for the season, the passing of rookie corner from Oregon, I forget his name, Kyrie Jackson, and then whatever their starting corner's name is, he tore his ACL. And so, good for the Vikings here. They added a veteran corner to that room that can help some of the younger guys and just fill in a bunch of that void that they lost with Kyrie Jackson and I forget their corner's name. But the deal is worth up to $10 million and a $7 million guaranteed. So, pretty decent contract for someone who has fallen out of his prime. I think he could definitely improve this year. But we'll see what happens with Gilmore. I'm glad the Vikings did this because, they kind of needed this offseason. This offseason has been probably one of the worst for the Vikings that I can remember. The 5-time Pro Bowler registered 68 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions, and 3 pass deflections last season, and did not miss a game with the Cowboys. So, anytime you're on a team like Cowboys, Cowboys are good, and he looked pretty good. I'm not going to lie, he didn't look terrible, but obviously, if you haven't watched him in his prime, go watch him. He's outstanding to watch. He played on, this is like the 4th consecutive team that he's going to play on with a 1-year deal. Like, 4 years, 4 teams with a 1-year deal. So, that's kind of... So, he's been probably on 4 teams for the past 4 years. So, good news for the Vikings here. I feel like he could definitely... he's probably going to be their top corner for this year. And if he can prove that he still got it, then I would say he could maybe agree to a 2-year, 3-year extension. Maybe by next offseason, or he could just play terrible and then get cut again. The number 10 selection, though, and I didn't know this, but in 2012, I didn't know he was drafted that late, like that long ago. I thought he was drafted like much earlier than that. But he has 31 career interceptions and has played fewer than 11 games in his 12-year career. So, I believe I got that right. But yeah, he really hardly ever misses a game. You don't really see that often from him. But yeah, good news for the Vikings here. And yeah, I feel like he can definitely help fill in that void of losing 2 corners. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. But all right, second topic of the week. The Raiders named Gardner Minshew the starting quarterback for week 1. So this is big news for Raiders fans and just Raiders organization. But if you guys didn't know, Minshew and 2023 2023 fourth round pick Aiden O'Connell were in a quarterback battle, and I was kind of shocked that they were having this kind of battle because, like, I kind of had a feeling that Minshew was going to be starter week 1. Obviously it turned out that way. But, I mean, Aiden O'Connell showed promise last year. I feel like some games he did really good. I mean, and then some games just weren't really that amazing. I mean, I feel like he's one of those up and down quarterbacks where you have a really good day and you look really, really good. Then you have another week or whatever, and then you just don't look good. I feel like that's how it was for Aiden O'Connell last year. I mean, I watched him play, and when you watch him play, I feel like you can see a little bit, like you can see potential in him. I can see that in Aiden O'Connell, and I definitely think he had a shot to win it, but I was leaning towards Minshew. But yeah, I mean, if I don't know why, but I feel like Aiden O'Connell will definitely get another chance on another team and be, a starter at some point later in his career. But right now it's Minshew's time. He signed a 2-year deal, $25 million, a 2-year, $25 million deal with the team this offseason. Minshew did. So yeah, a really good deal, 2 years. So unless Aiden O'Connell beats him out next year, then we'll see what happens there. But right now we're focusing on the present. He is the starting quarterback right now for week 1. Unless something happens, he does terrible, and then they just start him. They decide to start Aiden O'Connell up again. The Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce selected the team starter Sunday after the 27-12 loss against Dallas. So I don't know if it was right after, but I think it was pretty soon after, where they lost 27-12. Let's be real though, they both didn't do that good in that game. O'Connell technically went better. But he allowed a pick 6. But Pierce said it came down to the experience and the advantage to get off to a fast start, which makes sense. Minshew has a lot more experience than O'Connell does. I'm sure Minshew's teaching O'Connell a lot of things. He'll learn a lot from Minshew. And yeah, I just really like what the Raiders did here. I feel like it was smart to start Minshew instead of O'Connell. But Minshew went 10 of 21 for 95 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. So 10 of 21, that's not amazing. And then 95 yards in a preseason game isn't terrible, but no touchdowns and a pick. And then when you look at O'Connell's numbers, he went 14 of 20, so 6 incompletions. So right now he's currently doing better, 96 yards. So he had an extra yard into his passing yards. He had 1 touchdown, but the interception he threw was a pick 6. That definitely hurts, and you don't want to see that. So yeah, I feel like it came down to the experience. Minshew threw an interception, but not a pick 6. I don't know. I feel like O'Connell did a little bit better, but they both did pretty similar. I probably would have waited till week 3, like this week, to decide starting quarterback. But whatever. I feel like Minshew was the smart move. I feel like that's where the Raiders should have went with it, and I'm glad they did. But yeah. All right, third topic. Broncos head coach Sean Payton names quarterback Bo Nix the starter, the rookie from Oregon. I feel like it comes to me as a little bit of shock, but also not that much, because there used to be this. Maybe Bo Nix would sit for 1 to 2 years and watch and learn from Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson, which I wouldn't really recommend learning from Zach Wilson. But, yeah, obviously he won the job, like I just said, Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. Fun fact, though, Nix becomes the first Broncos rookie quarterback, to start week 1 since John Elway, which was in 1983. So a little bit of pressure from Bo Nix. Hopefully the Broncos have found their quarterback of the future, and they don't have to look for a bunch of other different quarterbacks. Russell Wilson did not go well. I feel like they've been through so much quarterback wise. I feel like they have a solid defense for it. It's not the best. The big name that comes to mind is Patrick Surtain. He's the big name that comes to mind. They lost Justin Simmons to the Falcons, who they cut this offseason. Nix actually did really good. In week 1, I believe. He went 15 of 21 for 125 yards and a touchdown in Denver's preseason opener against the Colts. Yeah, so the preseason, he did really good. He did better, obviously O'Connell and Minshew did better than him combined, but, I think he did a lot better than combined, not just statistically, but overall. I mean, Knicks has like so much potential. I mean, like I really like where Knicks. The situation isn't the best for Knicks. I mean, Cortland Sutton's there. You lost Jerry Jeudy to the Browns in a trade, I believe. Your tight end, I forget their tight end's name, but I mean, not the best situation. To really have like a good first year. I mean, if he does have a good first year, Cortland Sutton's not a bad target. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Javonte Williams, I believe. Um, think of anyone else that's around him. Samaje Perine is there anymore. I mean, so you don't really have the most weapons around you anymore. I mean, prove me wrong. Knicks, I really like him. I'm not going to lie. I really like Knicks. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback someday in the future. I just think he needs a few years to figure it out. But we'll see what happens with the Knicks. I'm trying to grab some here. But I believe, obviously, like I just said, like, I don't think this is going to be the year for Knicks. I feel like just give him a few years. But, I mean, in week 2, Knicks, he went 8 for 9, 80 yards, and a touchdown in Denver's 27-2 win over Green Bay. So, obviously not as good as what week 1 was, but definitely he looked really good. I mean, I know Broncos fans could be getting hyped right now. Like, Bo Nix is looking very good. He's looking sharp, and I agree. But we have to remember that these are like, second and third or fourth stringers? So, like, let's calm down. Let's chill for a little bit. Like, this is the preseason, right? This isn't regular season. Regular season is a real deal, so we'll see what happens with there. All right. Second to last, we actually have 5 topics. Chiefs center Creed Humphrey becomes the NFL's highest paid center in NFL history. Really good deal. I mean, this happened Friday, I believe. So yesterday. But really good deal. If you guys didn't know the deal, Humphrey has agreed to a 4-year, $72 million deal that includes $50 million guaranteed and a new $18 million in AAV. So, I mean, yeah, really good deal for a guy like Creed Humphrey. Now, I didn't know this, but he's like a lot younger than I thought he was. I mean, he was only drafted in 21. I feel like I remember him being a lot older, but he's already a stud. I mean, the Chiefs locked him up through 2028, so he's going to be their center of the future. I mean, they got lucky. I feel like the Chiefs always draft these really good offensive linemen or pick up these really good offensive linemen, but it is what it is. The 63rd pick in the 2021 draft has never missed a start, made 2 Pro Bowls, named to a second-team All-Pro, and has won 2 Super Bowls in his first 3 years in the league. I mean, 21, 22, 23. This is coming into his 4th year, so technically 2 Super Bowls in the first 4 years. But really good deal for Humphrey, and the Chiefs locked up a good one. Trust me, I can tell you that. All right, second to last topic. All right, this one happened like Thursday, I believe. I can't quite remember. But they're locking up a young corner. They're gifting A.J. Terrell a 4-year, $81 million extension to keep him through 2028. This is great for the Falcons. I mean, this comes shortly after that they signed Justin Simmons and then traded for Matthew Judon. So, I mean, like, your defense is literally loaded. Like, A.J. Terrell, Grady Jarrett, Matthew Judon, Justin Simmons. And then Jesse Bates to add the mix there. That's like 5 great players on defense. And we all know what their offensive looks like with Kirk Cousins, Tyler Algier, Bijan. Then you have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I mean, they're only getting better. I mean, they're going to be a top team. If you guys have not seen my video of who I think is most likely to win the division most likely to win the Super Bowl in every division, I said the Falcons. I mean, not just the Simmons reason, but just really what they've been doing this offseason. I mean, the Terrell is tied with Atlanta. The 16th pick in 2020 had 3 interceptions and 16 pass breakups in 2021, but he hasn't hauled in a pick since. Hopefully this year will be the year for Terrell that he'll finally get the satisfaction of picking off another quarterback, which I think he definitely will. I mean, when you sign an extension like this, you have to get the ball in your hands. I mean, there's no excuses. I mean, I feel like he's definitely going to do that this year. I mean, the Falcons have like the easiest schedule in the NFL and have one of the best off seasons that we've ever seen in these past few years. I mean, they have the easiest schedule in the league and have a loaded roster. So the Falcons have to prove it this year that they can be a team with the easiest schedule in the league and potentially make the playoffs at some point. I've heard that there's like Super Bowl contention. Like let's not go that deep yet. Right now, the Falcons are a playoff contending team. I don't know about Super Bowl yet. I mean, when you have an easy schedule and then you barely win games, it's kind of hard to say I'm not saying they're barely going to win games against like the Panthers and all these other mid teams. I'm just saying like if they potentially lose some of these games, which there is some tough ones in there, all right? But if you lose like any of the easy ones, like if you lose like a Panthers Broncos one, like I don't know if you're like really Super Bowl contending or not, but that is all NFL news. Signings now. Jaguars signed defensive end Joe Gaziano and quarterback E.J. Perry. Vikings signed quarterback Matt Corral to replace or just compete with Sam Darnold after losing J.J. McCarthy. Wide receiver Justin Hall, offensive lineman Matt Sindrick, tight end Neil Johnson, and offensive lineman Chuck Filiaga. Titans signed defensive lineman Abdullah Anderson and linebacker Michael Jones. Raiders signed linebacker Jackson Mitchell, linebacker Deshaun White. Eagles signed tackle Gottlieb Aids, I believe. Offensive lineman Jason Poe. Chargers signed linebacker Frank Gidda. Safety Jalen Phillips. Jets signed defensive lineman Jalen Twyman, I believe. And defensive back Nehemiah Shelton. Cowboys signed defensive end Carl Lawson. Defensive tackle Linval Joseph. Dolphins signed UFL running back Anthony McFarland, who is very talented. I mean, the Dolphins really lucky to have him. Running back Xander Horvath, wide receiver Judon Jank, and linebacker Daquan Jackson. Buccaneers signed defensive tackle Brandon Matterson. Seahawks signed tight end Michael Ezek and tight end Devin Garrison. Bills signed quarterback Anthony Brown. Panthers signed corner Quandre Mosley and corner Chris Wilcox. Colts signed center Mike Panusiak and linebacker Mike Smith. Chiefs signed long snapper Randon Plattner. Commanders signed defensive end Justin Hollins, linebacker Chapel Russell, safety Kendall Brooks, and center Cameron Tom. Cardinals signed linebacker Chris Garrett, defensive end TJ Carter, tight end Sage Surratt, and center Hjalte. Pronounce that for me. Hjalte Frohold, I believe. Lions signed linebacker Joel Ayugbunwi, I believe. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. Corner Rakad Wild Goose. Packers signed fullback Henry Peterson, defensive lineman Keontae Shad. Yes, you heard that right. The Lions signed corner Rakad Wild Goose. That is the best last name I've ever heard. Patriots signed linebacker Kobe Jones, linebacker Christian McCarroll, and wide receiver Matt Landers. Saints signed corner Joe Jawan Williams. Giants signed offensive tackle Andrew Thomas and defensive back Clayton Isbell. The Steelers signed linebacker Kai Hava Tezino and defensive lineman Marcus Haynes. The Bears signed wide receiver Peter LeBlanc. Browns signed linebacker Marvin Moody and UFL running back Jacob Sailors and kicker Lucas Havrisik. Texans signed fullback Nick Bawden. Rams signed corner Sarodoric Thompson. 49ers signed tight end Logan Thomas. I'm sorry, there's like two pages of signings, and now there's like two and like almost 3 pages of cuts, so bear with me here. Jaguars cut defensive end Rasheem Green, wide receiver Brevin Easton. The Raiders cut quarterback Anthony Brown Jr. and wide receiver Jeff Foreman. Giants cut tight end Tyree Jackson, defensive tackle Ryder Anderson, and wide receiver Dennis Houston. 49ers cut wide receiver Tariq Owens, safety Taylor Hawkins. Eagles cut defensive back Mekhi Gardner, defensive back Tyler Hall, and tight end CJ Uzomah. The Bengals, you need to take this opportunity to sign CJ Uzomah because we have a tight end problem. I know we signed Mike Gesicki, but we need more depth. All right, Gesicki and Hudson is not enough. Let's get CJ Uzomah back, please. Falcons cut wide receiver James Washington and wide receiver Jakeem Grant. So they cut 2 pretty big wide receivers. That's crazy. I feel like you might need those players. Buccaneers cut defensive tackle Eric Banks, defensive end Randy Gregory, and defensive lineman Eric Banks. I already said Eric Banks. Chargers cut quarterback Max Duggan, wide receiver Leon Johnson, and defensive lineman Michael Mason. Vikings cut wide receiver Ty James, punter Seth Vernon, offensive tackle Jeremy Flay, corner Najee Thompson, tight end Trey Knox, linebacker Jabril Cox, and corner Jacoby Francis. All right, don't worry. We still have 2 pages left. Cardinals cut offensive lineman Dennis Daly, long snapper Joe Shimko, and wide receiver Daniel Arias. Browns cut wide receiver Matt Landers, tight end Giovanni Ricci. Bengals cut defensive tackle Devonta Maxwell. Seahawks cut linebacker Devin Richardson, corner Willie Roberts. Panthers cut running back Dylan Johnson, wide receiver Tavian Robinson, corner Lamar Jackson. Not quarterback, cornerback. All right, DB, whatever. I didn't know there was another player named Lamar Jackson. That's a first. I've never seen that before. That's kind of cool. I wonder if Lamar Jackson, the corner, will be the first ever to pick off a player with his own name. You know, Josh Allen, he was the first player to sack his player with the same name. Guard Nash Jensen, offensive lineman Badera Traore, which was the Panthers, by the way. Colts cut guard Josh Sills and wide receiver Ethan Fernia. Chiefs cut running back Salvin Ahmed and linebacker Ezekiel Vandenberg. Jets cut tight end Neil Johnson. Steelers cut defensive back Nathan Meters, corner Graylin Arnold, and corner Anthony Everett. We have 1 more page left. Commanders cut linebacker Bo Barr, linebacker Keandre Jones, safety Ben Nickel, and kicker Riley Patterson, and center J.C. Hassenauer. Ravens cut wide receiver Scotty Washington. Bills cut wide receiver Lawrence Keys, and wide receiver Brian Thompson. Cowboys cut defensive back Sheldick Redwine and defensive end Shaka Toney. Lions cut linebacker Deron Gilbert. Packers cut running back Jarvian Howard. Defensive lineman Oduwumigwu, I believe. Rams cut defensive back Jerry Jacobs. Saints cut centers Sincere Hainsworth. And Patriots cut defensive tackle Mike Purcell. Let's see if you have any more signings and cuts that we don't have as much as next week. The Bears cut wide receiver Freddie Swain and defensive end Kahil Kareem, who is a former Bengal. Only Bengals fans know that one. The Bengals cut wide receiver Hakeem Butler. What are we doing? Why are we cutting Hakeem Butler? I don't know what the Bengals were doing. Give him a chance, please. I mean, yeah. And then they also cut offensive tackle Jackson Carman, which I'm not really surprised there. He's really struggled this preseason. Anything else? The Saints signed defensive tackle Cameron Patterson and linebacker Andrew Dowell. And they also cut Trajan Jeffcoat and defensive back Caleb Ford Dement. I think we already got those. Okay, so that's all for this week. I don't know what the Bengals are doing. Why are you cutting Hakeem Butler? At least put him on the practice squad. Good grief. All right, we have some injuries to get to. All right, Steelers offensive lineman Nate Herbig tears rotator cuff in the shoulder and will miss entire season. Really unfortunate for Steelers there. I'm sorry, my eyes are watering. I'm pretty sure someone's cutting onions. Eagles guard Mekhi Becton suffers leg injury and is reported not serious. Steelers running back Jalen Warren injures hamstring in preseason game. And Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill seen wearing a hand brace. The injury has not yet been reported. So hopefully there hasn't really been any more info on that. They're out this week. That happened what was it? Oh, I can't remember, but it's been a while ago. So, I mean, they haven't updated that. I haven't seen any updates from the injury since, so I don't really have any info on that one. Quick hits, and then we'll go reactions, then best versus worst. That way we have 2 really good segments back-to-back. Let's see. All right, quick hits. NFL overturns Titans outside linebacker Arden Key's 6-game suspension. Key was suspended because he violated the NFL's PED policy, which I forget what that stands for. Free agent quarterback Colt McCoy retires after 12 seasons in the NFL. McCoy will join NBC Sports broadcast booth for Big Ten football this year, which is actually today. Well, not Big Ten, but college football is back today. It's already happened. But, yeah, Big Ten is back next week. McCoy was drafted by the Browns in 2010, becoming the 85th pick. The Browns eventually traded him to San Francisco in 2013. However, he had a short stint with the franchise and was traded a year later in 2014 to the Redskins, which are now known as the Commanders. McCoy eventually joined the Giants and Cardinals in his career. My throat is like so dry from all those signings and cuts. Like, hey, keep in mind though, next week is our last episode of signings and cuts. We will not do signings and cuts during the season. That's only an off-season thing. Just wanted to let you guys know that. Dallas guest room catches fire at a training camp. No one was in the room, and there were no injuries. That's the good news. The fire happened in one of the hotel rooms. I'm kind of surprised it didn't spread. So yeah, it was a hotel. Commanders acquire kicker Cade York in exchange for a conditional 7th-round pick. So yeah, Cade York was on the Browns, and this is a trade. In 2022, York made a 58-yard game-winning field goal in his first NFL game. But since then, he's fallen off. York bounced around with the Tennessee Titans and New York Giants, and then eventually back to the Browns. So, yeah, he's going to, obviously cutting Riley Patterson, the whole thing with whatever their kicker's name is. Who got suspended. I don't know what happened. The Commanders trade wide receiver Jahan Dotson to the Eagles. Philadelphia receives Jahan Dotson and a 5th-round pick. So they received a 5th-round pick and Dotson. That's kind of crazy. I'm sorry, guys. My throat is like so dry. While Washington gets a 3rd-round pick and 2 7th-round picks. All right, the 2 seasons Dotson had with Washington, he recorded 84 catches for 1,040 yards and 11 touchdowns. I had to tally up and add and do the math myself because it divided 2 separate seasons. So I'm not trying to brag or anything, but Dotson will team up with the Eagles wide receivers, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. So that's going to be a pretty scary trio right there. That could be a top trio in the league at some point. All right. Any more quick hits? We have a few that I don't have any info on, but hopefully next week I can get some more info. Rams left tackle Alaric Jackson suspended for 2 games for violating NFL's personal conduct policy. That's PCP. Cardinals wide receiver Zay Jones suspended 5 games for violating NFL's personal conduct policy. So I'll have more info on that next week because that kind of just popped up. But all right, reactions. All right, we have a few reactions, not that much. We have 2. All right, the Brandon Aubrey kick last week. One was unfortunately not going to be in the episode. But here we go. We're going to play it right here. All right, 66-yard field goal. He unofficially tied the NFL record, tying Justin Tucker before halftime. It's literally dead center. And it didn't even hit the post. Like, that's crazy. The only reason it's unofficial is because it's a preseason game, so it technically doesn't count. So I don't know what's going to happen there, if they'll count the record or something. We'll see what happens there. All right, and then the second one, I thought that Brandon Aubrey kick was insane. So if you guys didn't know, the Packers do this, ride bikes to, joint practices. I'm pretty sure they, borrow bikes from, Packers fans, probably, 11 and 10-year-olds. So I thought that was pretty cool that Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers did this. Here's a video. I thought that was pretty cool. Lamar gets this pretty big and thick bike, while Zay's just on this little tiny one. I thought that's cool, I always like it when I see, players just have fun. They aren't always what they seem. They aren't always, super serious and care so much about the game. NFL players can have fun, too. So I thought that was really cool. All right, best versus worst. All right, so we're going to start off at best. We're going to go to worst. So Daniel Jones, his first game back was not the best possible thing that could happen. But the outcome was not amazing. And his first game back after like an ACL tear, I believe. So, everyone's excited. Daniel Jones is pumped. But, all right, I don't know if this is the first drive. This can't be the first drive. 7 minutes left. But here we go. Right here. They snap the ball. He's in the end zone, all right? He's in trouble. He's getting sacked. He pump fake, gets hit, throws it right to Jalen Petrie for the pick six. And it cannot get any easier than that. Like, you don't have to try and throw it away, like, out of bounds. But you can at least get it at their feet. Like, stop trying to do too much. Like, I know this is a preseason game, but, like, still, like, he's not looking great. I mean, I don't know why the Giants paid him. I don't know why the Giants chose Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley, which is kind of crazy. And, yeah, I just don't know why that Daniel Jones is even a starting quarterback anymore. I just don't understand why. It's and I heard like Tom Brady like pretty much called it. He said like let's say Daniel Jones throws an interception, and he did. He threw 2. So yeah, just not a great week for Daniel Jones. But best though, Patrick Mahomes actually had a behind the back pass, which is absolutely insane. Like, here we go. 3rd and 3. We're going to play it right now. 6:19. Or, like, ticking. Chiefs up 3-0. Here we go. Play action. Behind the back pass to Kelsey. Low, but still. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, am I surprised that Mahomes did this? No, you can see the point that Kelsey gave Mahomes after the play. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, highlight of the week. Highlight of last week, pretty much. But, yeah, what a play. And Mahomes will definitely be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not, like, top 3 at some point. He's, as much as I don't want to say it, he's accomplished so much. I mean, yeah, like I said, as much as I don't want to say it, he is, like, really, really good. I mean, as a Bengals fan, it's kind of hard to say that kind of stuff. But I believe that is it. All right? So that is it for best versus worst. We are going to go to question of the week. All right, this episode we are fairly on time, unless the question of the week goes on forever. I'm pretty sure we had similar question of the week. It was about Brandon Ayuk, but it's about Brandon Ayuk again. But is a Brandon Ayuk trade still possible? Obviously, last week a few weeks ago, we talked about, like Ayuk like signing a contract. It was like episode 26, so 2 weeks ago. You're talking about it was 27. I can't remember what episode it was, but like they were talking about like they could possibly like re-sign him, but now there's like a trade to Washington is still possible. This whole thing with 49ers and Ayuk and the Commanders and whatever, this thing is going on for what feels like forever, and it's been going on for way too long. I mean, like at some point somebody's gonna like. I don't know what's gonna happen here. Who knows? Something's gotta happen. And honestly, if the question of the week, like, if does he go to Washington? I think maybe at some point, but like right now, no. Feel like this season he's gonna remain with the 49ers. Maybe he even signs an extension, but right now he's with the 49ers. I mean, I feel like that's obvious. I mean, unless you guys disagree. But, yeah, I feel like he's going to be at the 49ers this offseason, then maybe potentially re-sign or trade next offseason. So we'll see what happens with Ayuk. I don't know really what's going to happen there. It's been back and forth. Like, some days you have, like, there's, like, all these rumors that he's going to get traded. And then the next few days, next week, you hear that, oh, maybe he's probably going to re-sign. I just don't know what's going to happen. It's been back and forth. This has been going on for way too long than what it has been. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with Ayuk. One other thing before we go, I did hear that, like, Chad Johnson, a.k.a. Chad Ochocinco, like, said that Jamar Chase was going to sign a deal this week. That has not happened yet. I mean, it could have already popped up and I didn't see it. But it has currently not happened, so we'll see if he's right by later today or maybe Sunday. Sunday's like the start of a new week. We'll see. But thank you guys for tuning in. This episode, we do not have a quiz this week as I've been very, very busy this week. So no quiz this week. But yes, I will make a plan again. Trick questions only. So do not pick the correct answer. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to check out last week's episode, which I highly suggest you do, episode 27 where I talked about the Falcons adding Matthew Judon to their already outstanding defense. I highly suggest you check that one out. And yeah, thank you for tuning in this week. I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.